Go live on Facebook. Hope you're doing well, having a good start to your weekend so far. We'll be starting in just a moment here. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a nice weekend so far. This is Sami Abu Saad with a list of swing ideas for next week. Excuse me. First, we're gonna talk about the market, and we'll talk about some swing ideas in a minute. But before I start, as always, a standard required disclaimer to let you know that trading is risky and that whatever we discuss today is for educational purposes only. Also, just a quick reminder that I have, as always, posted a couple of links in the description if you'd like to check them out after the video. You can actually join me for the next 30 days for just $49 in the swing trading newsletter or in the strategic day trader chat room. So whatever style that you trade, you can actually join me for $49 for just 30 days. Okay, with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the market. The Qs had a pull, the SPY or the Qs doesn't really matter. It's basically the same chart. They look exactly the same. The Qs, the QQQ is the tracking ETF for the NASDAQ 100, and the SPY obviously is the tracking ETF for the S&P 500. Had a pullback last week, and we have a buy setup now. So just like I've been saying, when we have a grind up on the daily chart, we don't pull back. I mean, if we pull back, it's usually very, very small, and then the bias continues to be bullish. So for me, bullish with a clear line in the sand, which is just over the base from the last couple of days. Again, this wasn't much of a pullback. It was really only one bar. Do you see it? It's on the hourly chart right here. That's it. And then from there, we went sideways for 1, 2 days, 2.5 days. There was only one bar pullback on the hourly chart, and then 2.5 days worth of basing. And now what I'm saying is back to bullish over the base. So okay, that's about it. There isn't really much else to say other than the bias is bullish. If we look at the weekly chart, every bar has been, well, actually last week was kind of a doji bar. I was gonna say every bar the last several weeks, 6-7 weeks in a row, has been green, but I noticed that last week was a narrow range bar. Sometimes we do pull back from a grind, like we do break the uptrend from a grind, but it's extremely rare. We saw that happen here. We had a grind up and then a break, but that was because of news, right? Trump tweeted about China that we don't need them. They cost us several $100 billion a year, and that's when the market really crashed. I mean, came in hard. So sometimes we do pull back from a grind up. Most of the time we don't pull back until we accelerate, until we start to get these wide range bars. If we get a couple of wide range bars, 2, 3, then I would expect to get a pullback. But if we continue to get these narrow range bars, then I wouldn't even look for a pullback. And if it comes, then so be, that's fine. But I wouldn't be trying to predict the top. Okay. All right. So with that said, we're gonna look at the daily watch list. For those tuning in just right now, you didn't miss anything. I said my bias remains bullish on the market for next week. It's gonna be a holiday week, short week, but bias still remains bullish. And now let's look at the list for next week. This has been on my list for quite some time, A and AB, and I have a position in it already, but I just wanted to share it with you because it looks higher still. I mean, it hasn't gone anywhere. It's popped a little bit, but I still like it higher. I don't want to see it take out 1170. If you're in it, you could actually use this as a trail. 1170 would be better than break even for me personally, but hopefully it doesn't take out 1170 and instead it takes out 1209, in which case it will be a 1 2 3 on the daily chart, a 1 2 3 pattern. So I do like the A and AB. CLDR, as you can see, it broke out on the daily chart. and has now a secondary breakout. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern. So the 1 would be the breakout, 2 is the inside bar, 3 is another inside bar, and 4 if we break up above the highs of the last 3 bars. I like it. CLDR. COMM had a breakout also on the daily chart, and then a pullback to the rising 20. The problem with it that I see at the moment is, oops, did I just lose the chart? Here it is you see how on the hourly chart we still have a declining 20? I use the hourly chart for entries to swing trade. So if the hourly doesn't look good, I don't enter into the swing trade. Does that make sense? If the hourly doesn't, and in this case the hourly doesn't look good just yet. When would it look good? When the 20 starts to curl up, then I would play it. So this is not something I'm looking to do on Monday, first thing on Monday. But what if it pops on Monday and then bases? Then yeah, off the rising 20, it'll be lovely, right? It'd be lovely. ENDP, this thing also transitioned higher on the daily chart, was in a long-term downtrend, now has higher highs, right? Higher lows, and appears to be setting up for another breakout. So I do like the ENDP long also, but it's a little bit sloppy. I'm in the Teva, which was similar and same kind of company, pharmaceuticals. I'm in the Teva, broke out, and I actually trailed half. I'm not sure which bar trailed me out. This bar probably. But I'm trailing the back half pretty tight, just under the base. I'll be out if it takes it out. So ENDP kind of reminds me of Teva, and it's also another drug manufacturer. Fitch has a buy setup. It triggered already yesterday on Friday. But if you're not in it, I'm not in it, I still like it higher. I think Fitch might have bottomed on the daily chart. Was in a severe downtrend, as you can see, and gapped up to end the downtrend and put in a pullback now. So I do like the Fitch higher. I has been a big mover, extremely bearish on the monthly chart. Broke the. I'm not saying it's extremely bearish here. I was saying that in the room last week and the week before, when it was starting to crash and people were looking to play it long. So now, though, if you look at the hourly chart, what do you see? What do you see by looking at the hourly chart? We have that curl. We do have that curve up in the moving average, in the 20 period moving average. So I like it higher over the base. Now, I just finished saying that the monthly is extremely bearish. So why would I want to play this long? Because I would only be looking to play it long from here to here, let's just say. Does that make sense? To 10, 12 bucks maybe. If I get lucky and it gets to this bar's high, that would be a phenomenal trade, because that's the entry and that's the stop. Okay? So it would be a huge trade. But I'm not even looking to see it go back up to 14 bucks, just to 12 bucks, actually 10 and 11. Let me just see what my targets for this are. Targets are 10.50 and 12 bucks. 10.50 and 12 bucks. So just as a swing trade for a few days, I like the eye a lot, okay? If you're in the SST program, the Strategic Swing Trader program, feel free to log on to your account. I already posted the plays for Monday. I already posted 4 longs and 1 short. So plays for Monday are already posted. If you would rather just wait for the email newsletter to come out on Monday morning, then you can do that as well. You don't have to log in right now. Okay. Continuing on with the MGNX transition A breakout. Right here, stop under the doji bar. It's a transition A breakout from stage 4 to stage 1 and now to stage 2. Stage 2 is the uptrend. SLDB probably late already. All these big gap downs have been getting bought. And SLDB is no exception. You can look at DPLO, was exactly the same. Look at the DPLO. It's doubled almost since the gap down, since the bottom, I mean. It's almost doubled. So it's been moving up a lot, and so is SLDB. Not as much yet, but over this bar's high, stop under the low. It's an hourly base breakout. Hourly base breakout. TNAV, and no, this is a transition A. The TORC is another big gap down, which I like higher over $1.25. Okay, stop under the daily base. But back to the TNAV, it's a transition A on the daily chart. And then a 1, 2, 3. So entry would be over this bar's high, stop under the low. Or under the hourly base. It's the same. It's going to be the same. So entry would be right here over 5, stop under 5. No, entry over 560, 560, 559. Stop is under 535. Okay, on the TNAV. And then TORC, as I said, the big gap downs have been getting bought. Showed you the SLDB. I showed you the DPLO. Showed you the ANAB, right? So this is another one that I like. I know it's a $1 stock, but who cares? I mean, actually the small stocks are the ones that double. It's much, much easier for a $1 stock to go to $2, right? Than it is for a $100 stock to go to $200, right? It makes sense. Or I would say it's much easier for a $100 stock to go to 200 versus a $2,000 stock going to 4,000. Does that make sense? So the same here, $1 to $2, that's nothing. It was a $9 stock just a few days ago, a week ago or so, right? So it would be still a small recovery, and not even a recovery. It'd still be down 70%. And yet, if we get in it and it works, you could double the investment in a couple of days, basically. So I do like the TORC higher. Shorts, BRY. A bearish gap down and an hourly base breakdown. Notice how on the hourly charts the 20 MA started to point sideways a little bit to go flat. So that's not a good thing, meaning it should have already broken down here. And because it didn't, it's based for too long, the 20 MA starts to go flat. So it's not a good thing, but it's still a good watch, short under the base. So I like it. CSIQ, another base breakdown. This was an earnings play short, worked nicely, and now has a base breakdown under the base, stop above it. Okay, not a very tight base. I like tight bases, but it does look lower. GVA, I was in this actually short here. I don't know where. No, I was in it. Yeah, I was in it here, and then I got shaken out on this little green bar or the red bar. I don't exactly remember. So it was a bad exit on my part. Too tight of a trail. I was in it as a sell setup from here. So now I'm looking to get back in it. I like it. Under the base, stop above it. Target the prior pivot low. Okay? On the GVA. NVCR. NVCR went climactic on the monthly. Dropped a good amount. I mean, like 30% almost. Yeah, 30%. And now back up. Big time. So if you look at the daily, we have 20 bars in a row. We have like 8, 10 bars in a row here. If it accelerates a little bit, I just need one big green bar and then it becomes a short. Okay? It's like the MKTX, same exact play. It was climactic monthly, dropped a lot, dropped $100, which is 25%, I guess, about, and then went right back up, and then on the daily, it started to print the wide range bars and then the topping tail bars. So the short was right here under the stopping tail bars low, stop above the highs. So this one didn't print any wide range bars yet, so it needs to print 1 or 2 wide range bars. It could sometimes print a wide range bar in the same day and then get slammed. So you'd want to watch it on an intraday chart and get in it on the same day. So how do you know when to get in it? Well, if it goes climactic on the intraday chart, something like this, vertical, then you know to get in it. Does that make sense? So if it goes really climactic, it starts to accelerate and the trend speeds up. See this trend? It's going at 50 miles an hour, let's just say. If it starts to accelerate and go more at 80 miles an hour, 90 miles, meaning vertical, right? Then I would stock it and look to play it. I like it a lot, but this has got to be watched. Some of the other ones I have orders for or I have alerts for. So if the stock comes near the entry, the alert goes off and says, hey, this stock is getting close to the entry, look it up. This one I can't. So I have to watch it. I have to put it on a chart. Okay? PVG is a sell setup. and then nice curl on the 20 MA. While the 20 MA is starting to point down, the best moving averages are the ones that have an arch, like so. So this doesn't have much of an arch. It's flattish. Okay. Why do I say so? Everything I say, there are reasons for it, but in these videos I try to keep them short and sweet and not go into too much detail. But you get that arch when the stock accelerates a little bit. Without accelerating a little bit, it doesn't usually drop. So if it's just a grind up, it usually doesn't follow through to the downside. You don't get the reversal doesn't produce follow through, and that's just a grind up. But we'll see. It's a good daily chart right at the declining 20, right at resistance. Not a ton of resistance, but some resistance after a professional gap down. And then again with the declining 20 on the hourly chart. So it's not too bad for sure, but not my favorite short. RLH is the same exact idea, except it's slightly better. In my opinion, this is better. Under the base, right here. Stop above it, right here. Okay, and target the prior pivot low, right here. Okay, this is like, is it? I'm not sure if it's like the ADS. It's similar. I did the ADS and it got to target. This was an official play in the strategic swing traders. A lot of the swing plays have been getting to target lately, so I'm really happy about that. The gap down, the run up into the declining 20, the short, and then to target. I mean, in fact, I got out one day early. This is the day that I got out in. I think this, no, yeah, I believe this is the day that I got out on. It dropped one more day. So it would have been nice if I had kept it for another day. But, so that's a sell setup after a gap down. That's a gap down, and that's a sell setup after a gap down. So I like it. Sometimes you don't get a sell setup, you get a 1, 2, 3, which is what we did on the WB last week. This was on I covered it in last week's video as a 1, 2, 3, and we played it in the strategic swing trader as a play right here, 1, 2, 3, just under support. I said you could do this or Sina, because Sina owns a bunch of the WB, so they move in tandem. Target was 40 bucks. So it got to target, which was the support, and a little bit below, and it went back up. So beautiful little trade. Actually, nothing. It wasn't little at all. It was a nice trade. Let's see what Sina did. Yeah, Sina wasn't as good, I didn't think, and notice it didn't really work as well. It worked a little bit, short, stop, 1, 2, 3, worked a little bit, but not that much, and then reversed. WB was actually better, which was the official play last week. Very, very nice play. By the way, you only need one of these. If you trade decent size, if you risk, let's say, a few $100 per play, you only need one of these to pay for your entire subscription for the whole year. Pretty much, 1 or 2 for the whole year. Short, yeah, stop, and target was 40, and got to target, painless trade. In 1, 2, 3 days, got to target. So I really, really like to watch setups after gaps. Notice how there's a gap there. A lot of my setups, I mean, look, let's see. Gap, and then setup. In this case, a breakdown. Gap, setup, right? All of them. Gap, setup. The shorts, the longs, not as much. This is not a gap. That's a gap and a setup. Gap, setup. You get the point? SDC, gap, setup. Ah, that was painful to see all the money disappear. I was in it short as a 1, 2, 3. I liked it more than the WB, tell you the truth. And it didn't work. I had to cover it. So it was very nice in the money. I mean, I had 2,000 shares, 2,000 and some odd shares. It dropped, and my entry was at 875. It dropped to 770. So I had a couple grand in this. Couple grand. Before it went back up, and then, but now has another sell setup. So under the base, stop would be up here. I wouldn't put it over this tail. I would like to put it over the tail, but it would become a big stop. So I just put it right here. Entry right here. If you want to get back in it. SDC. Trip is a breakdown. Short. It's like the Barry, but better than Barry. In my opinion, it's better. Yum is another breakdown. Notice gap down, base, and then a play, a setup. So I really, really like igniting gaps and then ensuing the setups that form after the igniting gaps. So base breakdown, and ZTS, not a gap, but just a sell setup. Short right here, stop above. Got it? So a lot of my shorts, a lot of the longs, not a lot of them come after gaps, and this is a gap because a lot of them come after transition A plays or breakouts. Like this is a breakout. That was a gap and then a pullback. ENDP is just a transition A breakout. That's a gap and then a pullback. That's a gap. No, not a gap really. That's a climactic buy setup basically. That was a gap down and a transition A, but that's not because it's a gap. I mean, I'm looking to play it not because it was a gap. I do like gaps that get bought, by the way. See how it got bought on big volume? Look at Avid. Got bought on big volume. Where is it at now? Went up 100% almost. Not quite. Maybe 80%, maybe 70%. Look at this. After the gap got bought. AMAG. I played it swing a while ago. No, not AMA. Yeah, AMAG here as an earnings play. I think this is August 8th. Was a very, very nice play for me. And I had to jump out at the open. Let me show you. August 7th, right? August. Oh, that was an amazing day. An amazing day. $38,000. AMAG, see it? $7,600 on the gap down. This was an earnings play last quarter. AMAG, $7,600. So it was a 20-some% gap down, but I had to cover it. Otherwise, look at this. Filled the gap almost in the same day. And then from there, huge move. Unbelievable move. So sometimes, when they fill the gap, they end up generating a big move. So this one filled the gap. So, you know, I like it as a transition A. Is this going to be a huge mover? I don't think so. Just to $10. But that's still about, I don't know, 20% almost. Not quite 20%. Yeah, 20%. I mean, that's $1.50 on an $8 stock, about 20%. So I like it. That's a gap. That's a gap. That's a gap. So a lot of my plays come after gaps. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you're able to, if you're not a member in the room, in the newsletter, in the strategic swing trade, I hope you're able to benefit from these free videos. And if you are a member, then I know you are benefiting, and I'm happy you are a member. And with that said, I want to say have a great rest of the weekend. Again, if you want to join me in the strategic swing trader or strategic day trader, if you're a day trader, links in the description below. But if you found benefit in today's video, be sure to give me a thumbs up, please. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful weekend. Take care, everybody.